if you pick your phone, go to Google and type, why am I, usually is the first suggestions that shows up. Why am I so tired?
Really?
Why am I?
Let me see. Why? That, you know what? I didn't even get to anything else. I just wrote why and then the first thing it said, so tired.
We have to change that. We have to change the dynamic that is creating this in our society.
Wow.
We can achieve much more. We can contribute to society, make an impact, make a difference out there. If we are refreshed, re-energized in the power, in our full power.
Expanding possibilities, the mindset zone.
I'm your host, Anna Melikian, and my mission is to support individuals and organizations to increase their impact while avoiding burnout. If you want to work smarter, not harder, I can help you. If you want to go from burnout to full engagement, let's talk. Reach me at Anna, A-N-A, at mindset.zone. Yes, instead of .com, it's .zone. You can also access all the episode notes, links, and other amazing resources at mindset.zone. The interview you are about to listen to was originally recorded for the Breaking Glass Ceiling Summit, organized by Dr. Zippy. Please find more information on the show notes. Enjoy.
Hi, everyone. I am just beyond excited to introduce our incredible speaker for today's conversation. And our conversation today is about having impact without burnout. So our speaker today is Dr. Anna Melikian. Anna is an inspiring individual who's defied the odds. Despite struggling with dyslexia and nearly repeating the 4th grade, Dr. Anna's determination led her to earn 2 master's degrees and a PhD in psychology. So snaps for you, Dr. Anna. She has a background in teaching and entrepreneurship, and she now resides in the US. She infuses her psychology expertise and decades of human potential work, and her trademark is of loving optimism, helps people to magnify their impact while sidestepping burnout. So welcome, Dr. Anna. I am so excited.
And my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
So fun, so fun. I actually don't think I mentioned you came from Portugal. So could you share a pivotal moment from your own journey where self-leadership played a significant role in unlocking your potential, and how did this experience shape your understanding?
The self-leadership is something that now I articulate with that name, self-leadership, but I start to understand the importance of it in my teens when I start to do some self-development, personal growth work. Many types of personal development work. At the core is the realization that we have a choice, and the choice is in our own response to whatever the world throws at us.
Yes.
And part of that is be able to self-lead ourselves and not just let things happen to us.
Right. So how did your journey start? What happened?
I was always very curious about human nature and very puzzled about people. I think my brain is wired to solve problems and, okay, if there is a situation, how can we make it better? And people were always my biggest puzzle. I was very much into science and into, even in the early times, with the computer stuff. But people were always the more tricky puzzle to solve. And I think that is what led me to choose and understanding myself and my own journey, but I then decided to become a psychologist, to study psychology and to become a psychotherapist. So that was always like part of my thing, to try to understand and how to tap into the power that we have as human beings.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the same time, I think there is a ton of potential that we can unlock, but there are these kind of traps that we can fall into, and burnout is one of those. Sometimes we are so much in a mission of making a difference, of working hard to make things happen, that we overextend ourselves and we don't give ourselves time to recover. And then we are not achieving our goals and feeling frustrated, and many times even falling into burnout process.
And then it becomes a loop. Just a
yes,
back and forth. So you mentioned burnout, and that's what I want us to talk about today. So burnout definitely affects individuals differently, and its manifestations can be, subtle or overt. Could you provide examples of how burnout might manifest in different aspects of our lives? How can we tell we have burnout going on?
And it's very interesting because when I'm doing speaking keynotes or workshops on burnout, one of the things that I like to ask people there, their own definitions of burnout. And one thing that I still have to find one person that when I ask, give me an experience of burnout, they don't have something to. Or people have after we live a certain time in this planet, I think everybody has a perception of what burnout is. That can be different from each other, but is almost a universal kind of experience in our society. And the way that I see, the frame of reference that I use to see burnout is in line with the World Health Organization and with the work of Christina Maslach, that has been studying burnout since the 70s. That is when the term was used to describe what was happening with people in the workplace. And there are 3 dimensions. A main dimension that is usually when we speak about burnout, people think about is the exhaustion. People feel exhausted physically and emotionally.
Yes.
And even there is the metaphor that we see a lot, is like a match that lights, burns, and then there is no more to give.
There's nothing else.
Nothing left. There is ashes.
Fizzle out. Yes.
It's ashes, and then is the question of how do we recover from the ashes? So that is the exhaustion dimension. Then there is another dimension that has to do with, because when somebody is in full burnout, and we see this a lot in the medical and in the teachers, they lose the connection to their purpose. So
you disconnect.
There is a disconnect. You see this very visible if you think about the COVID years and the medical professions and the nurses, that they really pour their heart out to help people. But things for some of them arrive to a certain point that they didn't have more to give, and they start to disconnect and even become cynical. So we cannot do anything.
Yes.
And there is no value, and become people it can arrive to an extreme of cynicism. The teachers, they start in the profession by the art of teaching, and then these kids don't want to learn. So it's that kind of cynic attitude that is the extreme when people are in the full burnout. But there is a scale. This is not on or off. There is a scale. I'm giving like the extremes of the scale here.
Yes.
Because we have in one extreme the burnout that we are describing. And then in that extreme, in the other side is of this continuum will be an engaged person. But let's focus the burnout. Usually the 3 dimensions is the exhaustion.
Yes.
Is this disconnection. And then another dimension that plays when people are in full burnout is a feeling of lack of personal efficiency. what I do doesn't matter, doesn't have an impact, I'm not good at this. So it's all this dynamic that really gets people in a situation that sometimes they have to withdraw and take some time off to recover, or sometimes is the situation of there is their immune system goes down, there is a illness that emerges, but there is almost a mechanism that people have when they are in full burnout, something as they hit rock bottom and they have to recover. The question is how many times they have to go in this cycle until they learn to avoid it.
Very good. Yes, I absolutely, that was so key and profound for me, the three things, how we can recognize these signs.
Yes.
You know, recognizing these signs and now be able to put a pause, you know, like you're feeling you're fully exhausted, when you feel disconnected, when you feel, what is the lack of efficiency?
The lack of efficiency that will, I put 4 hours of work for what? I don't see any results, because you can start to get in a negative thing that you really, then you are not prioritizing the right things. And then at the end of the day, you don't see results of your work.
Yes. Wow.
So signs of burnout or things to be, because I think we should be attentive to the red flags to avoid the burnout, the full burnout stage. So if you wake up in the morning and you are tired, if it's one day, maybe you didn't have a good night's sleep, okay. But if it's every week,
chronic,
almost every day, in a month, every day that you can think in the last month, when you wake up, you have to fight with alarm and you have to drag yourself out of the bed. That means that your body is not having enough time to recover physically and even mentally. So there is something there. That is a red flag.
Yes. Wow.
The things that you previously find enjoyable and that you are looking for in your job, now you start to be a drag. And you start to procrastinate on those things. So things mainly were things that you like to do before, and then you start to drag them down. That is sign that you are starting to get disconnect. And why? And the sense that when you look at the end of the day and you cannot pinpoint, okay, I did this, and it's like mush, and you cannot discriminate things, that is overtired and signs that I just want to give some red flags that doesn't have to be this way.
Wow. So many of us are burnt out and we don't even know. We just keep digging and
pushing. We keep pushing. And things that okay, I think that at a certain age, yes, when we are in college, young, at the beginning of our careers, we have more capacity to keep pushing and recovering quickly.
Yes.
But we have to understand that we are going to pay a price.
We are going to pay, and we're going to pay a price with our bodies. Have you read this book, When the Body Says No?
No. I heard of it, but I didn't read it.
Yeah, there's a book, When the Body Says No, and also the body keeps the score.
Yes.
You know, like your body, we do this to ourselves and our bodies will one day just shut down, you know, because it's completely wiped out, as you said, the ashes, there's nothing else to give, but you're still using it. It just completely crashes.
Yeah. And the rhythm, because I think, yes, when in college, all of that, I push myself like so many other people. But the rhythm, the system, here is where we see the system forces, because even when we are in school with kids that we are pushing but there is the vacation time, there is the summer.
Yes,
there is.
And you take 3 months and you just like get back.
Even if it's just 1 month, but there is like, we have the exam season, and then we work very hard to exam season, and then there is like a break, the winter break, and then the other break. So there are these in the system, there is this
that have been put for you.
Yeah,
Yes.
recovering points. So you do the sprint and then you have a point to recover. And if you think about sports athletes,
They
even
also have that.
high-level athletes, they always have the time to recover, to be able to be in that top performance.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
when we arrive to the workforce, mainly here in the United States and in the East, in the Asia, is also the same culture. Europe is a little bit different. And I think Africa too. But here in the United States, it's almost always going.
Just go. And people actually hold it as a badge of honor if they haven't taken vacation, like they've accumulated their vacation.
Yes.
I have vacation. Like they even lose their vacation because they can't carry it forward, and they carry it like a badge of honor. And
from an high performance perspective, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Because we can achieve and have a bigger impact out there if we learn to really tap on the power of being fully engaged and then taking breaks,
time out,
to recover.
Wow, that is yes. So Dr. Anna, you talked about, I was looking at your work, and you have coined something called the PIME method, which sounds very intriguing.
Yes, and I hope that, pie, that sounds delicious.
And can you walk us through those steps of the PIME method? Yes.
So I'm doing work in human development for several decades, and a lot in personal development. And I work with many purpose-driven individuals and leaders that they really are trying to do their best for themselves and for the people around them.
Yeah.
But I also see that many of them get frustrated because they are not getting the results that they were expecting and that they see other people get. And when I start to realize is that what can I teach to people that will start to make the difference, that they can leverage something simple that I can teach even in a keynote or in a workshop that they can learn without having to read a book.
Yes.
And they can start to apply and really leverage all the other things that they already have that makes the difference. And I came with that acronym, PIE.
Okay.
PIE. So P is for pause. If we look in most systems out there, one of these is that the capacity of pressing the pause button is the key to create awareness and to make the change. There is that famous quote, between a stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is the power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The challenge is to see that space between the stimulus and the response, to be able to do our choice. And how can we see that space? Is by developing the capacity of pressing our pause button.
Press the pause.
That little moment to understand there is a stimulus that produces a reaction, but we can decide what to do next. In the beginning, the pause happens afterwards. There is something that triggers, and we have the reaction that we don't like to. And then if we develop pauses, oh gosh, I went again in the same thing. But then we can start to reimagine, if I fall in that, if I have that trigger again, what could I do different? Is how we start to rewire our brain. It implies us to make pauses. It can be these, what I call the micro ones, that is this, the ones that allow us to see this between the stimulus and response. But in the beginning, we have to do macro pauses, like working, going to a retreat. That allow us to see things from a different perspective. Working with a coach that help us to see things. And that from there, if we learn how to do scheduled pauses, like journaling during having a ritual of journaling every day, or just having a ritual to start the day or to end the day, to create that pause, reset moment, that can make all the difference. So the P for pause includes the micro pauses
Micro and the macro.
The macro ones and the schedule ones that is like going to the gym and to get us in shape to be able, when the circumstances are tough, to press the pause button when we have that big triggers. So that is the first thing, the P, pressing pause. The second element here is the I for increasing self-awareness.
Increase what?
Self-awareness, being aware of what is happening.
Yes. How do we do that?
With creating the pause, that is why the P is so important, because we have to be able to create a moment of self-reflection, to have self-awareness, to have to create the space for the self-awareness. And it's also understanding how can we increase our self-awareness is, for me, is very important to teach the people that I work with that there are these three dimensions: our thoughts, our emotions and feelings, and our actions and behaviors. And all of them are important and interdependent of each other. I do a lot of work in mindset about changing our thoughts to changing the way we feel and what we do. And it's very, very powerful. And I believe in the power of changing our mindset. I even have a podcast called The Mindset Zone.
Yes, The Mindset Zone. Yes.
Yes. And I will be here the one to tell you that the mindsets are not the all and all, because if it was just enough to change our thoughts for everything else to happen, we could spend the day listening and watching to incredible TED Talks or what you are doing this, and then suddenly everything, the skies will open and everything change.
And but that's not the case.
It's not. Yes, we can take, that can be the spark that we need to help us, to inspire us to do the things that we need to do and to get our emotion in the right place and motivation to do the things. But I find it much more helpful if we see like three sides of a triangle. Instead of seeing a linear thing, we have one side for mindsets, our thoughts, another side for our feelings and emotions, another side's action and behaviors. And we need all these three dimensions. If a triangle loses one of its sides, it
collapses.
We need all the three. And for some people and for some moments, sometimes can be easy to start in a different point than the thinking, the mindset. For instance, if you are really stuck in something, going out for a walk in nature, an action, can be the best thing that you can do to unlock the power of your mindset. So by seeing in a triangle, give us opportunity to have different points of entry and always ask how one dimension interplays with others. So increasing the self-awareness can be as simple as, I'm more aware, I'm feeling really stressed in my body. I feel the tension in my body. Okay. What as that tension interplays with your thinking and the way that you are thinking and the actions that you are taking. So be aware of it. Or if they always have a habit that they want to improve, break, or replace for something else, being aware of it, but how that affects their feelings and their thinking. So all of that give us if we develop increase the self-awareness in these three dimensions, and we could get more granular, but let's start with these three dimensions. Then we have much more options to choose and to do something different.
That is very, very good.
And that takes us to the last one, the E, that is embracing the experimentation mindset. Experimentation. Because if you think about science, and when we do an experiment in science, there is not really bad results. Of course, when a scientist is doing an experiment, they have an expectation of something, and they are not happy when the expectations are not met.
Yeah, you have
Yet,
your hypothesis.
yes, and they want to confirm of this.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yet, from a macro perspective, if the big discoveries and advances happens when, oh, this was not supposed to happen, what? And then makes them think from a different way. So there is no failures, just new information to learn from.
So
And
good.
and if we embrace this mindset of experimentation, that we are going to try something, we read a book, we listen to an inspirational speaker, and like that, let me try it. And then, oh, it didn't work, doesn't work. No, what did you learn from it?
Yeah.
That can help you to improve it, to try again, or that explains something that allowed to experiment with something else.
Yeah.
And increase your self-awareness. So, for instance, if somebody decides to experiment with journaling, don't just journaling once, and learn from the experience. So all that you try can be an experimentation from which you can learn from, become more self-aware in those 3 dimensions, and help you to press the reset, the pause button in a more effective way.
Wow. I absolutely love that that PIME method. That's press the pause, increase your self-awareness, and utilize the experimentation mindset.
Exactly.
Very powerful, very powerful.
And simple.
And
So
simple. Yeah.
Because I see so many people starting, there is that new novel, new thing. Oh my gosh, it's the shining object. Let's go and try it.
Yes.
And they see some improvements, but all the time in any learning process, there will be a plateau or even a dip. And they up and they go again to the next shining object. No, let's see, let's learn from that, and let's just go a little bit, push just a little bit softly and gently to see how much you can learn from that experience to help you to keep move forward.
I love that. I love that. As you said, it's simple. It's available to us. Everyone can practice this. Everyone can press the pause. Everyone can just, even as you say, just start journaling or spending a little bit of time just thinking and meditating, just doing something, and then not thinking that it's failure, but really realizing this is you're experimenting. What else? What could be? What is the other thing? I love that. That is, I will use that PIME mindset myself. Just be saying, because it's a quick, easy. It sounds and it's sweet when you think of the PIME way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love that. So Dr. Anna, many individuals are driven to achieve, but the pursuit of success sometimes obviously leads to burnout. All of us, that you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, just the driving can lead to pause. How can we strike a balance between achieving meaningful results and prioritizing our well-being throughout this process so that we don't burn out? How can we strike that balance?
Is, I think, the realization and awareness that taking care of ourselves is the best way to create a bigger impact out there. To be able, it's like we are the tool and we have to take care of the tool. It's the old thing, sharpening the axe, or I like to use the metaphor, the saw. Thank you. I like to use the metaphor of a pencil. And let me I'm going to grab a pencil.
Okay. All right.
Just to, because I never sharpen saw, but I think we always, until now, we will have the experience of sharpening
a pencil. Yes.
I don't know, the future generations will be the better metaphor for them.
Yeah.
But we are the pencil. And we can start with a nice sharp end that allow us to write, to draw, to sketch, to do amazing things. The pencil is more efficient. This pencil in space, no gravity, you can write with it. A pen, you have to have a special pen to write in no gravity. But the pencil is so versatile and you can do so amazing things with a pencil. But most of us, we can start with a wonderful sharp end, but we keep writing and writing and writing, drawing, doing whatever we are doing. that is our skills and the talents and things, but it starts to create a blunt end, and we are so busy that we don't stop to sharpen the pencil. So how efficient are we when our tip is not sharp, we're not in a good shape? So how can we realize that, learn from athletes, from the high performance in athletes, that a fraction of a second count, and they know the importance of pressing pause, the importance of reset, creating a rhythm of recovering, performance recovering. As individuals, we have to, as better we take care of our body, our emotional, our mental, our spiritual elements, the more we can make a difference out there.
I love that analogy of the pencil, because that's a good, I like the way you give, you teach, even using you're a real good teacher, because you're using analogies of things we use right away. You know, like my pencil, if it dies on me, if I have to sharpen. So what are you doing what are you taking? What are you doing to sharpen yourself so that you can always be at optimal, in your optimal best self? So can you provide an example from your own or from your client's experience who have applied this PIME method and it's resulted to a transformative outcome? Do you have a story of how this shift impacted their
and now we'll start
and the ability to avoid burnout? Yes.
For some people, when they listen to one of my talks, is something hits home. For some people, can be the realization of how thoughts, feelings, and behaviors interplay with each other, and how respecting that and taking that in consideration can change a lot the dynamic and their self-talk.
Yeah.
The experimentation mindset is a great reframing of failure and try new things. But the pause, is one of the basic things that I apply in myself and when I work with people. How can we structure scheduled pauses? Yeah. I have a very ritual beginning of the day that I light a candle here in my working space. That is part of my beginning of the day ritual, and creates the ritual and the pause where I look to my agenda and I see the things that I have to do, what are the reminding of the priorities, and keep that. So the one in the beginning of the day, possibly if we are not too tired when we wake up, if we have a good night's sleep, is the one that is easier to install and to see the effects happening. Then at the end of the day, close the day, create a ritual and a pause to transition from your work day to your family or your time or social time. Yes, beginning and end. We need these kind of beginnings and ends and to be super productive. And then we'll be creating pauses within that bookends, mainly the middle of the day can be a reset. But start with one thing. Experiment with one thing. Start small. And even if it is between, it's just to give one thing that makes a huge difference. Just between Zoom sessions that we are now so much in, just give you a time to do 1 minute breathing exercise.
Yeah.
Just to move from one to the other. You have to have 1 minute to breathe. And if somebody says, no, I don't have 1 minute to breathe, that is a big flag.
Yeah. Like, Paul, I cannot breathe. I have to keep doing this.
So is okay. That means you have to pause and you have to breathe, because you are going to be much more efficient in what you do next. Otherwise, you are just running around like a headless chicken with no direction.
That's so true. Wow. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. We are coming almost to an end. And you've given us some practices of just things we can think about to keep our mindset, how to integrate these principles of the PIME method into our lives. And I want to know, like, what is the thing you'd tell the audience today, if nothing else, for you to prevent burnout? If there's only one thing I need you to remember from this conversation, this is it. So what is that, Dr. Anna? What is that?
Hope. Hope. If you are in burnout, it's not going to be like that forever. You can recover from it. If you are in burnout cycles, you can break those cycles. So it's possible to break those cycles of burnout. So people have to have hope that it's possible to have a work life that is not that constant cycles of churning of the burnout. It's absolutely possible, and starts a lot by there is a systemic dimension on it.
Yeah.
That you can put your oxygen mask first. That little pauses, and then we have to. I also want to say that, because this is important in terms of the burnout is still an individual level. You feel the burnout, the individual, but it's like the canary, the little yellow bird that in the coal mine in the old time, that when the gases were starting to be toxic, the canary was the first one to show signs of it. The burnout in the individual is a signal, like the canary. So yes, we have to take the canary out of the coal mine to save it, but then it doesn't make sense to take the canary back to the same conditions that create the burnout. What can we change in terms of the structure of our days, the structures of the cultures that we work, of our society, that prevents so many people burning out?
Wow.
Just to give you a sense of the dimension of this, if you pick your phone, go to Google and type, why am I so tired? Usually is the first suggestions that shows up.
Really?
Why am I?
Let me see. Why? That, you know what? I didn't even get to anything else. I just wrote why and then the first thing it said, so tired.
We have to change that.
Big Brother is listening to our conversation right now.
We have to change the dynamic that is creating this in our society.
Wow.
We can achieve much more. We can contribute to society, make an impact, make a difference out there. If we are refreshed, re-energized in the power, in our full power.
Yes, in our full power, and we can actually stand and serve the community and serve the universe, be of impact when we are really in our full power. So thank you so much, Dr. Anna. So I really do appreciate you coming and sharing this conversation. I know there's so much more. How can the audience engage and interact with you, Dr. Anna? You mentioned your podcast.
Yes, follow my podcast, Mindset Zone. My website is my name, Anna, just with one N, A-N-A, Melikian, M-E-L-I-K-I-A-N, AnnaMelikian.com.
Thank you for sharing your insights. Until we meet again next time, bye-bye.
Expanding possibilities, the Mindset Zone.
Thank you for listening, and remember to follow this podcast. And if you are listening in Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. That really helps us spread the word about the Mindset Zone. Also visit mindset.zone. Yes, instead of .com is .zone. There you can find amazing resources and more information about my speaking and how I support purpose-driven individuals and organizations increase their impact while preventing burnout. As always, I'm so grateful you are here. Expand what's possible for you, for the ones around you, for the world.